So today, big rain was in the forecast. Storms were supposed to be moving in. So we tried to use up the few good hours that we had doing errands for Karen, getting stuff for the garden. And I wanted to dedicate the afternoon to getting this muffler installed. I have 4 different exhaust systems for the FZR. I wanted to take the one that Luciano donated and see if I could make up a head pipe that fit. As it turned out, I had to use 2 different parts from 2 different systems. I had to make some parts. I had to make a sleeve. I had to make a bracket. Well, it got really more complex than I thought it would, and it ran way later into the day than I normally work. But as we usually have happen on this type of a day, it turned out to be a good day. And at the end of the day, as I always say, that at the end of every video, the whole video is full of problems and issues and dirty gloves and filthy clothes. But in the end, there's always something that you have that at the beginning of the day you didn't have. And in the case today, we have another evil twin project sitting on the back burner now, ready for a test day, and we're ready to test it. Today is supposed to be one of the days that's supposed to be raining by lunchtime. Karen has a bunch of errands for me to do this morning, and I need to go to Harbor Freight. And so what I tried to do is lay out the day, because I want to have a chunk of the day at the end of the day. If I have 2 choices, one would be if the sun stays out, I'll try to get a short ride. If it doesn't, I'm ready to install the muffler on the FZR. That's a couple hours. Should be relatively straightforward. I have 4 different mufflers for this bike. So one by one I'm going through them and I'm trying to pick out the features I like. As an example, the one that's on the bike now, the R6 muffler, is nice and quiet, but it really doesn't have the rumbly sound. I like the quiet rumbly sound. See, I'm like a connoisseur that can't decide if he wants a latte or a foam on his coffee or what. But because all of the mufflers work, I have a lot of choices, and I can even put the original one back on a bike that was kind of a track day loud, I don't know, Yoshimura, whatever it was, came with the bike. I don't know that where I'm riding now that's going to be appropriate, but I wanted to try the one, and I want to see if they fit. See, the problem is the mufflers all fit. It's the head pipes that don't really fit, and then you have to make brackets, and it may turn out to be a 2 or 3 day job. I don't know. But I know it's always best, in my case, to get all the errands done before you plan out the day. Now, many days when I get up early, I look at the weather for the day, and I look at what the temperature is going to be and what the humidity and things are going to be, and I just say, oh, what a perfect day to do this, that, or the other thing. And then halfway through the day, I realize the weathermen are totally wrong, and I have to change my plan. So what I do now is I kind of make the plan evolve over the day. But of course, first choice would always be to get a ride. But I really do want to swap that muffler out, or at least get to the point where I can see if it's going to be a fit, if I need a different head pipe, or in the worst of all worlds, I can put the Norton muffler back on. I have the Norton muffler. I have again, that's what I like about having evil twin bikes. You can just come out, and in a couple hours you make a different bike out of it. It sounds different, it feels different. In some cases the engine runs different. And you always feel like, hey, I've got a new bike. And basically all these evil twin projects always seem to take on a life of their own, and halfway through the project I figure something like, hey, I didn't try that out. It's always, that's the interesting thing about evil twin projects. They have a life of their own. And this whole bike has had, it's like a cat, it has 9 lives. I never get sick of fooling around with it and then taking it out for a ride and seeing what I like. And one time you go out and you get something unexpected. You say, yeah, that's really nice, but you know, it's too loud. Or in the case of something else, maybe you change the muffler out, for an example. And now the bike, you know, you need to jet it a little different or something, put a jet kit, I don't know. But the easiest thing of all is when you can just change it out in one day and then go test ride the bike. The biggest thing this time of year is the farm. Karen's working every day on a farm. We've got 175 little potted starter plants. And some of the little pots have 3 or 4 plants in them. So I don't know where that's going. But anyway, and we do have to stop by and buy more soil, like at Harbor Freight. I try to make up a list, and then around lunchtime or a little after, we'll see what the weather is, and we'll either take a ride on a bike or work on the FZR muffler. At least see if it fits anyway. It doesn't have to be done today, but I would like to see if that it's the head pipe, not the muffler. If the head pipe fits, the thing will be done in one day. If not, and I still don't have the springs for the exhaust, I have to go, probably that little hardware store in town will have the spring. So anyway, with my luck, there'll be a surprise behind every cloud. But first I got to take care of the barnyard animals. Come on, boys, time to eat. Come on. So as the weather's evolving today, it looks like we're going to have a lot of choices by lunchtime, or we're going to have no choices at all. So we'll see. But first, to get the errands done. And our flowering tree is still flowering away, but I see already off to the west a couple of dark clouds forming. In our neighborhood, hey, we have some pink trees, some magnolias, some split elms, and a lot of people never even look and see how beautiful some of these trees are in the spring. And in a couple of days we're going to have our wisteria all bloomed out. Oh, spring is in here. What a beautiful time to be in North Jersey. And this time of year, Karen the farmer is about the happiest she'll be. All her baby plants are growing, and we have basically 175 here. And every one has more than one plant in it. So we're going to see. They all come up at different times. And this is Karen's labor of love. But before we head out, we'll have one more cup of coffee, and that'll make the car run a little bit smoother. Now when we get back from our errands, we'll see what the corporate decision for the rest of the day is. One of our errands is we have to buy 10 more bags of dirt for our planters. Again, thank you, Joe, for helping me with the stonework. I super appreciate it. So as I'm monitoring during our beginning of our errands, monitoring the weather, it's cloudy, but still looks like it might be nice. You never know. My favorite store, Harbor Freight. What could be more fun? And I do need some supplies. Just out of the way. I got the tools I need, and boy, I never get sick of shopping at Harbor Freight. So now we're done at Harbor Freight, it's time to head to the garden center, and it is gradually clouding up little by little. Looks like it's gonna rain. Now the best thing of all, Karen's dream come true. We're gonna buy potting soil. What could be more fun than potting soil? We never get sick of buying potting soil. People try to use regular dirt when they pot plants. Alright, it's time to get back to the ranch. That's about all the dirt we can endure today. So this is one tool I wanted to add to my list. I wanted to have some socket drive metrics. These are really good for taking brake discs off too. And I wanted to get a new set. What happens to these, they just weren't, at some point in time they round off and you grind them and round off. We're ready to do some serious Allen work now. So the weather looks like it's going downhill really quick. I think what I'm definitely going to do is just abandon the idea of getting a ride today and get the FZR out here and pull off the exhaust system and see if this thing is going to fit, or if I'm going to have to get a head pipe or not a head pipe or what. I won't know until I pull it all apart. And as always, step one is playing in musical chairs with the bikes. Parking lot attendant. So much fun. And I don't get paid. Now, it's no secret, a muffler can change the whole personality of the bike, the sound, some of the performance. But the biggest thing on some of these that you never take into account, now this is a stock R6 muffler, and thank you, Chris, for getting that for me. It polished up nice. It's very, very quiet. One of the downsides when you have a really quiet muffler on any bike, you hear a lot of mechanical engine noise. And this muffler is so quiet, you do hear noises that you don't hear with the little bit throatier mufflers. But this one did work fine. I'm going to put this one in the bank for now. But before I do that, I want to weigh it. I'm going to take it off and weigh it, because I have a feeling this is like twice what the other ones are. Now this is the Norton muffler that we had on previously, and first thing I want to do, I want to weigh this and see what it weighs. So this scale really isn't super accurate here, but it'll give me within a pound or two. So I'm going to weigh myself and then weigh myself holding the muffler and make the calculation. It's not going to weigh just the muffler. So the Norton, the header, and the pipe and the bracket, just under 7 pounds. Now, I did this test several times. I did it out in the driveway and here just to see. And it's pretty much the same. It's just under 7 pounds, 6.8. And in the cabinet there we have one other muffler. I think that's the one Turbo Steve brought back that he didn't use. I want to weigh that one up too. Now this one, if we use this one, it's got to be polished up and cleaned up. This is a Muzzy. I thought I gave this to Turbo Steve, but I guess I didn't. And you know, in our spare parts supply, you never know what's going to be in there. There's monsters in here. Every once in a while I find something I didn't even know I had. The Muzzy parts are 5.2, so they're the lighter of the two by almost 2 pounds. Not that that's a real big thing. All of these parts have to be cleaned up, but the one we got from Luciano is pretty much polished up and ready. So we're gonna wind at the end of this to play musical chairs on Mr. Potato Head with 3 different exhaust systems. This should be a fun day, and not counting the one that's already on a bike. And that's what's nice about Evil Twin projects. When you have these parts, you can just go polish them up, put them on a bike in one afternoon, change the whole feel of the motorcycle. Evil Twins. So the Vance & Hines is basically the same weight as the Muzzy within tenths of a pound. So there's no point making ourselves crazy about that. But now I want to pull the stock exhaust off and get a reading on that. So pulling this off requires, there's 1 clamp under there. It's actually 2 clamps. If I remember right, and releasing that bolt and then being very careful when you get the last of that off, it doesn't fall on the floor and get scratched. But this is just hopefully a plug and play job, but it never really is because the mufflers are all interchangeable, mostly. But the problem is this head pipe, when it's got the wrong bend or something that you can't accommodate, it winds up being too close to the swing arm or something. So that's why I like having, I can play my musical chairs with all these parts. So it turns out some of these clamps that are underneath, they're really, really awkward to get at, and you can only get about one little crank on a wrench. When it's in there, you can't get a socket in on some of them. And there was more than one head pipe. It was a split one with an extra clamp. Now this is good. I'll get to use my new sockets that I just bought. I didn't buy them for this, but as long as I have them here, that looks like that's going to be fun to have. This is really a lot handier than using a T-wrench here. You get a lot more leverage, of course, too. One really nice handy tool. I'm sure we'll use it over and over again. Thank you, Harbor Freight. Very, very handy having these tools. I love them. Anytime I'm there, I try to invest in some tools that I think I might use, but I never expected to use it the first day. It's kind of a little treat. Now this, of course, is double nutted, so once I get this off, it's going to want to fall on the ground, and I don't want to scratch it. Alright, so it came off. Now we can weigh it. That's the big thing. It's a great muffler, but boy is it feels heavy already. Wow. It's a big mama. So on my scale, the stock R6 muffler is 3 full pounds heavier than the other ones. And these are all in the 5 pound, 5.2, 5.6. And this one's 8.8. So the first little task is to see if any of these head pipes are going to need modification before they fit, or if any of them are going to fit at all. And this is where we just start playing musical chairs, and why it's always good, assuming you don't have the exact pipe. If you buy the muffler and pipe that exactly fit the bike, of course it's easy, but when you have older bikes like this, it's really Mr. Potato Head. So choice one is to see if any of these are really close, and right now I don't know if any of them are. I guess we're going to find out. But I guess what I got to do is take this other one off, and let's see if that would be close. Yeah, it probably is. But again, this is a lot of fooling around to do this. Okay, so the first thing is I got to get the old R6 accessory pipe off. That's going to replace that, and then that will probably, it looks like it'll be pretty close. Well, I guess we're going to find out. An awful lot of parts like this, they look like they're going to fit so well, you look at it, you say, oh, it's just like the one I took off here, and you go to put it on, and you rotate that to get the angle, and you just can't get the angle you want. So sometimes there's a lot of compromise involved in this when you have old bikes and the parts that are not actually made for that bike. So the one I originally thought was going to fit, that setup, the bend in here is completely wrong. That muffler sticks out way too far, and you can't cut it because it's the angle that's wrong. So the first thing I have to do is either abandon this head pipe and try one of the other head pipes, which we have them in stock. And so the first thing is this one is not going to work. But it could be, and I know this is a good possibility, this whole thing might be a direct fit for the 750. So I don't know. So I don't want to butcher it up because I could use that on a future, well, a future evil twin for the Kawasaki. And there's never an end to the evil twin projects here. Okay, we got two other pipes to try, and at the end we're going to have to make a decision. Now I spent a good amount of time fitting this in, and it looks like we have the head pipe that went with the Norton muffler. The Norton muffler head pipe has the right bend in it. I may have to make a bracket back there, I don't know, or if we're going to be able to use the stock bracket, but the other one did not have the correct bend by far, and the R6 one not even close. So it looks like now I've got to figure out, I've got to get a clamp down in there, and I got to get springs. That's going to be, well, I may have to go to that Brothers Hardware store in Rutherford. I bet any money they have more of those springs than anybody around. Anyway, this really turned out to be a real labor of love here. But it looks like we're going to be able to get that on and, of course, test it. So, and then we'll see what it sounds like once we get it done. And it all looks very easy when it's all done, and all the parts are bent the right shape and all the brackets are the right length. But when you're sitting here and it's not exactly, then it's hitting the swing arm, it's hitting a foot peg, it's hitting something. It looks like I'm very lucky that is one of the ones that's going to work. And there's only one issue here that, and I don't really know the answer to this, is this joint, you need to put springs, but of course look where the spring tab is on this one. This is not the pipe that belongs with this. So I'm wondering, I'm just thinking out loud here, I'm wondering if I don't have a gasket that goes in here. I wonder if that, well, this is the kind of thing that can be a real problem. I may have to keep improvising here. Now, a really slick solution to this whole problem would be this is all exactly what the bends I need. And this hooks to the header, and that side hooks to the header, that side hooks to the muffler. There's no problem. And when I get this the way I want it, all the hooks line up. Now, the only problem is I can't, in fact, I got this backwards. See, I'm losing my mind here. This is the way this has to go at some point in time if I could join them together. So I have to see if I have, maybe I have a piece of, this is 2-inch, a piece of pipe that I could make a sleeve inside, because see, they're exactly the same diameter. So, and I don't have a welder, but if I could make a sleeve, that would be another alternative. Don't know if that's a viable alternative, because this pipe, this would give me the advantage here is I have the spring things in the right position. But I'm going to try to work this out and see if I can use that. But it's not the end if I can't. Now, you never know what's going to be in the black hole in space here. All this stuff that I save, and I save everything like a pack rat here. I do have some 2-inch tubing. I've got a part with a bend in it, for one. Well, I do have an adapter down there. Okay, so I do have some material that I may be able to make this sleeve with. So the first thing, the ends of these pieces that I have are expanded. So what I want to do, of course, I want the unexpanded part of the tube, hoping that that'll slide in a lot easier. Maybe I can grind a little bit away or cut a notch in it or something. But having that sleeve, it's going to solve 2 or 3 of the problems that I anticipated along the way. So it makes that half of the problem is now solved. That part is solved. Now I've just got to figure out the other end and figure how long I want to make this piece. I want to have it, of course, that it doesn't go sliding out the end of the muffler or something. So the way this worked out couldn't have been better. I was able to pound that sleeve all the way into the end. So there's no way it can, and it can't go out that end, so it'll not be a problem. And it's a really nice fit. It actually is a pretty good fit. I'm very impressed. I'm actually amazed how well this worked. I'm very surprised. I was not thinking this was going to work out like I planned, but it did. So lucky for me. Now, that means I have the correct spring. Yes, that's in the right spot. I have this sleeve that I can press. Not only that, it's a nice tight fit, and I can rotate. So now I have an infinitely adjustable pipe, and I'll put the R6 clamps, which are really heavy duty, right on top of that. That'll make that it doesn't leak. Put this on top of that. In fact, I ought to put this on right now. See, I think this thing through. Put that one on the back. That one's going to go that way. Still not sure this is all going to work out the way I want, but I'm getting closer. Now that's going to give me the right length, and now I need to spin this up to there. See, having that infinite adjustment is really nice. It's actually better than a stock pipe right now. Okay, so I can line that up. Now I can see if I'm even close with this. And if this works, then the only two parts that are left is the bracketing here, which I can make. Brackets are nothing. May not even have to improvise here. That really came out pretty good. Wow. Okay, so I would need two springs to hold that. I have the clamp for here. That really looked like it's going to work pretty well. Now, next step, I want to mount up this bracket. Even though I may have to make either a new one or an extension, I don't know. But with that mounted, at least I'll know where I stand. It looks like this is all going to work out with a bracket. I'm a bracket and springs away from having this working. Now, the thing that's nice about this bracket slides back and forth to fine tune it. And of course, if I have to, I can reverse it, or I can make one. If I have to make this longer, shorter, wider, it'll just be a question of making up a bracket. Now, it looks like we made the right decision to work on this muffler instead of going riding. It does not look promising. Glad I got my dirt. Oh man, I'm glad I'm not 100 miles from home right now. So at least we're not going to have to clean the bike off today. The riding in the rain is no big deal, but cleaning the bike, oh yeah. Made a good decision today not to go riding. The muffler tied up with basically with zip ties, so I can measure for the bracket I need. The stock bracket is not exactly in the right spot. We're going to have to make something. Again, not a big deal, but all of the other things look like they worked out okay. The pipe that looked like it's going to work fine, and I need to get the bracket now and the springs. Now I have a whole bucket of brackets, but I thought, why not start with the one that's on the Norton muffler? That may even be close. Luckily, I have a whole bucket of brackets that I used for camera mounts years ago, and I've got every size and shape in here. One of these will definitely work. I don't know which one because we got a whole bucket of them in there. I'll just see which one works. Well, the bracket worked out fine. I'm tightening. Now that everything is tight back here, I can go right down the line and tighten all the clamps. All right. I still have to get springs. That's the last part of the puzzle. And I think if I can't find any in the shop here in my stuff, what I'll do is I'll go over to that, once the storm subsides, I go over to that hardware store right in Rutherford and see if they have any. Now, I let it warm up here just a little bit. I wanted to see if anything was leaking. Looks like nothing's leaking, but I still want to get those springs before I go out on a ride. I've got to look around, see if I don't have any. Of course, they got to be the right length, and well, but if it is leaking there, I'll just have to get the factory springs, I guess, from Vance and Hines. But in the meantime, it probably worked out better than I thought it would. And we got one more evil twin project behind us instead of in front of us. And the last thing is there's a couple of spots here that I need to polish up. I'm not going to worry about it today because we're going to detail the bike out again. When I do, I'll do it with the buffing wheel, but I wanted to get that cleaned up. And I like the way this muffler looks. It certainly has a nice sound to it, a sport bike sound. which, that's all in the ear of the beholder, that's for sure. But cleaning this up as best I can. Now, I'm just wondering, these springs, I'm wondering if they do anything at all. It didn't seem like it was leaking anywhere. I wonder if you even need those springs, but you know what, I'll see what I have in inventory. And that's the problem, you know, I know what I have in inventory. Sometimes I go out and buy something and I already have it. So I have some springs that are on this one of the spare RD exhaust systems that's going to be restored and installed. We were going to try to get these ceramic coated. That didn't work out. But I do have the springs. I'll see if they fit. And they're one step out of the way. So as ironic as this is, these are the springs from the RD exhaust. They're just a little bit too long, and I don't want to bend them because I do want to put that exhaust system back on. That's a future Evil Twin RD project. But what I'll do is I'll take one of these to the hardware store. I know I want to get it just a little bit shorter, and I'm not going to be able to do that today. The storm has not let up out there all day, so I think I'm going to cut my losses and just say we're ready to test. And these I can pick up at that hardware store in Rutherford is really someplace special. It's really a cool place. So we are ready for a test day. We're ready for a trip to that hardware store when the weather gets better. I'm not going out there in this storm. Anyway, beautiful day. Everything worked out great. I got my topsoil. I got another muffler, just what the world needs, another Evil Twin project. Anyway, I really enjoy these. I really enjoy swapping parts around, and it just gives me the feeling I have a lot more motorcycles than I do without spending any money. No registrations, no insurance change, none of that paperwork. Just build another bike out of the bike you already have. And parts you probably already have in the cabinet. I don't know. Maybe it works for me. I don't know if it worked for you. Anyway, I want to thank the healthcare workers. Again, I'm coming up on the end of when my vaccine is supposed to be 100%. We'll find out. If you don't see any videos for a while, I guess you'll figure it out. But again, thank you guys. Thank you so much from my whole family. We appreciate your efforts. And I hope you enjoyed the video. We try to share our life, kind of our little adventures with these motorcycles, our garden, I don't know what else, just our life in general. And hope you enjoy sharing it. And thank you so much for watching. But later that day, it cleared up. And we did have to take the puppy to the animal hospital. He had some issues and some shots and some, I don't know what, beauty treatments or how to get lipstick on or whatever. But anyway, it turned out to be a lot of fun. It actually turned out to be a great adventure for the dog. He really had a good time.
Very nice.
He doesn't seem so well behaved in the... Oh, Miles has got him.
He has a very nice demeanor.
Yeah, very nice.
What's his name?
How come they never say I have a nice demeanor?
It's beautiful.
Both of the parks are nice. I ride the bike up there all the time. Way Yonder is the name of the park.
Okay.
We got a lot of video up by Way Yonder Park. It is a nice area. Buddy, are you on good behavior today? I need to know. The vet needs to know. Are you on good behavior? Always a joy bringing a dog to the animal hospital. Ay. Buddy! Oh, that wasn't so bad, was it? Oh my God, look at that puppy. And actually all our Evil Twin projects over the past, probably 10 years, maybe more, maybe 20. I don't know, I never can keep track of time. I have enjoyed this whole concept of Evil Twins where you take a bike that you already own and modify it, save the old parts so you can put them back, make some parts for it if you're so inclined, change the color of parts like the wheels, buy bodywork from different, buy a whole parts bike like I did. And I just think that adds to my enjoyment of motorcycling with a very little monetary expenditure. And it allows me to always have the feeling I have a different bike than I had the day before. And it's worked so well for me. It's worked for a lot of my friends, in fact. And I look back over the many years of doing this, and just every bike in that garage is in some way an Evil Twin. And the MT-09 will be very soon, as soon as I figure out what I want to do with it. Anyway, it's our saying, old men, old bikes, young hearts. I hope you did enjoy the video. I hope you enjoy sharing these little parts of our life. The good times and the bad times both. I enjoy making the videos, and thank you guys. Thank you one and all so much for watching.